This is a collaborative project funded by the Australian Research Council Linkage Project grant scheme. It includes a fantastic cross-cultural team of historians, fish scientists, curators, Menang knowledge holders and myself. We have been working on this incredible historical fish collection.
Fishing in Albany, it's low sand, a very shallow place. Fish traps is ideal for that. There's a very deep entry side to it. I think now that's been exposed how and what was in it really gives us all a glimpse of what happened in that period of time.
The fish collection was made by Robert Neal in Albany, Menang Noongar country in Western Australia in 1841.
Particularly for Menang material, it was donated by Neal to the University of Edinburgh's Natural History Museum in 1848. And so all of these collections are coming into that early museum, being catalogued separately and differently, and some are sitting in boxes and don't get catalogued for 20, 30 years. And at that point, they start to lose the documentation of how they came into the previous museums. At the point at which they came into the Industrial Museum, they then get recatalogued and given these completely different numbers. And at that point, we start to lose a lot of that early documentation.
He had the assistance of Menang fishermen who speared several of the fish.
I remember telling you stories about going spearfishing with Dad in Albany and catching leather jackets and all of those wonderful memories that I have growing up as a kid.
Hunting and gathering is our culture, and you hunted and gathered every day for food because you didn't have refrigerators to keep food for a long period of time. So fresh fish was a very healthy and necessary harvest. They made a wall of stone, unusually with bigger rocks at the top and smaller ones at the bottom, to allow for the smaller fish to get through. They would deposit offal from a kill they made from a kangaroo, put it in time for the fish to feed and get used to it, but not being aware that the tide's going to go out, and only to find that the water's receded and they're trapped behind a rock wall where they could be easily speared or captured.
The fish that they caught were preserved and also sketched in these incredible watercolours. There's an amazing portfolio that we've been working on. When the fish were actually categorised by John Richardson, one name was given a Menang name in the scientific naming at the time, the parrel fish. So it's kind of like our icon fish for the project. It's really exciting to have this Menang name carried right through to the scientific categorisation.
An important strand is looking at the history of our collections because they've come from various different sources across Edinburgh, sometimes not very well documented, but it's surprising what you can find out about them. So this collection of the fishes are one of those where we've been looking back at the history and where it's come from.
Certainly for us, we weren't aware really of the association with the fish collection in the Natural Sciences Department.
Although we knew that we had the collection, we didn't understand its kind of cultural significance. We understood its zoological significance. It contains type specimens. So these are the specimens on which scientific names for those fishes are based. We didn't realise anything about its importance to the Menang people and the fact that it recorded the names of these fishes that were used by the Menang.
Robert Neal really spent time recording the names given to the fish by Menang people, by the younger Menang men, and then he also recorded the different names for the fish by the Menang elders. There's two layers of Menang knowledge on these sketches and in the manuscript notes about these fish and on the fish labels themselves. But he also recorded the names given to the fish by the settlers, the local colonists who'd arrived in 1826 in Albany and were obviously keen fisher people as well, and the names that were given to the fish by the sealers. And the sealers were operating in that kind of amazing Southern Ocean frontier. They were collecting fish, bringing them back to Robert Neal right from across that Southern Ocean frontier.
We're a see and do culture. Seeing drawings, pictures, and the colour and the detail again that he provided really had them interested and still does.
And so there's that interlinking then between the cultural artefacts and the natural history specimens or the fish, and it gives you that kind of wider cultural understanding of how everything interacts. And I think that's really important, knowing that these aren't kind of things that exist individually on their own, but actually they've got a wider cultural understanding and everything has a place.
What I hope that happens in the future, that everybody understands that these have these Menang names and starts to use it in everyday life, and we can all speak a bit of Menang because that's their proper name.
The research environment at Deakin really does encourage that kind of work, to kind of go beyond the academy and to work with people on country, which I think is really exciting. So the support there is fantastic and really enables this kind of work.
The mind boggles as to what we're going to find out of it. We've found quite a few things. What can we find? What are we looking for in the future? I think there's a lot more to be explored.